All right, welcome in. Have an exciting one for you on this late Tuesday afternoon, early Tuesday evening, depending on where you are. I'm in the central time zone right now. 49ers back east. They start practicing tomorrow in West Virginia at the Greenbrier, and then they head to Atlanta for a game on Sunday. Can't wait to check out Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But today, we're talking about this guy. We're talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, who was so good on third down for the 49ers against the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I'm talking awesome on third down. And this is just part of a larger trend since 2017 when Jimmy Garoppolo has been healthy. He's been awesome on third down, doesn't get nearly the credit that he deserves for it, but we have some film that I think will be insightful for everybody involved. Let's take a look at the best play from this game. Garoppolo just absolutely smoked. Don't worry, we'll rewind. What a catch by Tevin Coleman. But the Panthers, you're going to see here, they're going to come in with Marquise Haynes. He's a free rusher on the left side of your screen. And then on the very right side, 53, Brian Burns, one of the better edge rushers in the game. He's going to beat the 49ers third-string tackle, Jalen Moore. So just watch how Jimmy Garoppolo gets crushed. How did he get that ball off? And they say he can't throw outside the numbers. They say he can't throw deep. Well, he's able to throw outside the numbers and deep with this little time. I mean, we have to play it in real time. The release is sensationally fast. It's a gutsy play. You know, it's one thing if you get hit from the blind side when you can't see as a quarterback. That doesn't take much courage. That just takes, some pain tolerance afterwards. But when you get hit by a free rusher that you see coming, and I can guarantee you that Garoppolo saw 99 coming, when you don't cower away from that throw, when you are still able to put 10 toes into the ground, step into it, that takes guts. Because this is not a pain-free moment for Jimmy Garoppolo. Gets the football off, and then again, what a stupid narrative. One of the dumbest narratives of all time, let's just put it out there, is Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw outside the numbers. It's not rooted in reality. There's so much game tape that discredits that narrative. This is some of that game tape. We can play this over and over again. He's throwing outside the numbers while getting decked by two guys who weigh over 250 pounds, one of them who's closer to 300 pounds. I mean, it's just not rooted in reality. Garoppolo, for whatever reason, has, I think it's because it gets a lot of clicks, but has a lot of people who decide to criticize with their feelings and not their facts. Well, the facts are that he's able to get this pass off on third down and deliver it perfectly to Tevin Coleman for the first down. The facts are this play right here. Another free rusher, third down. Look at Garoppolo. Look at that release. The free rusher's flying in. Garoppolo gets it off in single coverage to Brandon Ayuk, who wasn't able to catch the ball. But the 49ers will take this combination of coverage, single coverage against cover zero, and throw any single time. If you watch the play closer, it just kind of goes right through Brandon Ayuk's hands. This is as good as it gets, though. Cover zero for Jimmy Garoppolo gets it in to Brandon Ayuk. Cover zero means that everybody's going to be in single coverage on the back end because they're bringing too many rushers. A lot of guys getting beat up here on the 49ers line of scrimmage. Garoppolo snaps it over toward Brandon Ayuk anyway, and that should have been a first down, but the point is we're not here to critique Brandon Ayuk or just chaos sometimes on the football field. The point is that Garoppolo got a good throw off. Another one here, third down, George Kittle. This one, Garoppolo is more of a pocket, steps in there, fires one into George Kittle. Now, this one is in between Justin Burris, the safety, and J.C. Horn, who's one of the best corners at least in the division for the Panthers, but on this Panthers roster, he's definitely the best corner. And Jimmy zips one in right in between them. Now, this is vintage Jimmy Garoppolo of what we've seen from 2017 to 2022. I would even say 2021 because there's been more of this in years past. He squeezes the ball into tight windows. And I'm going to talk about interception rate, which is Jimmy Garoppolo's main weakness in a little bit. But, I mean, part of the interception rate is because he's taken a lot of chances. He's trying to squeeze the ball into tight windows over the middle of the field that are open by the 49ers outside zone. This particular pass is a tight window, but it's a calculated window for Jimmy Garoppolo to throw into. This is a decision that Kyle Shanahan's happy with. Again, clean pocket, starts converging a bit. Burford loses track of his guy. So Garoppolo, starts closing in on him, but he's able to get his foot down. The footwork is sometimes an issue because Jimmy is all upper body torque. But here he gets the lower body into it, zips it in there in between Burris and J.C. Horn for the first down. 49ers were 7 of 12 on third down. And, that play was one of them. And then this play, spectacular, was the highlight. I mean, just drilled, steps in there, throws it. There are very, very few quarterbacks in the National Football League that can do this, what you're watching on your screen right there. Step in there, deliver outside the numbers, and deliver on the money on a third down to make it work. Very few QBs. Again, that's just the truth of the matter. And to help demonstrate that, we have numbers. We have ways to track how Jimmy Garoppolo has been doing in those kind of situations over the course of the past several years and this year. So for that, let's get the numbers open. Let's pop this all open on the screen. And let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo throughout the years. The question on the screen is this the best that Jimmy Garoppolo has been for the 49ers? I promise that I'll answer that here within the next few minutes, but we need context to properly answer that question. The answers are complicated, but I'll tell you what, 2022 looks really promising. That's a summary of what we're about to talk about. First of all, we got to talk about 2017 Jimmy Garoppolo. 2017 Jimmy Garoppolo was superb. That's what earned him the contract that he signed in March of 2018. Jimmy in 2017 was freewheeling a little bit, learning Shanahan's system a little bit. It was pre-ACL, and he was top of the league in efficiency. And, we have it up here in some of these efficiency statistics. Here you go. Quarterback efficiency, 2017. Make this one a little bit bigger on the screen. This graph right here, you want to be as far to the right and far up as possible. In 2017, over 198 dropbacks, Garoppolo was as far up and to the right as you can get. If you combine the accuracy numbers, CPOE and EPA per play, Garoppolo number one, ahead of Rivers, Roethlisberger. Winston was good in that stretch before he got hurt in 2017. Case Keenum on there as well. But anyway, you look at the 17 efficiency, it was awesome in a short sample size for Jimmy Garoppolo. You can go through success rate, all of these. And he was at or near the top of the league. And when you composite all of them, he was at the top of the league, and that earned him his contract. Now, obviously, the refrain, the criticism, the skepticism, I guess is a better word, was sample size. Too small of a sample size. We need to see what Jimmy Garoppolo does over a longer stretch of time. And then, unfortunately, he tore his ACL 3 weeks into the 2018 season. So the next time that we saw Garoppolo for an extended stretch, he was coming off the ACL. It wasn't until 2019. He also got hurt in 2020 with a high ankle sprain. So 2019 and 2021 were our only longer stretches, season-long stretches to look at Jimmy Garoppolo. And even 2021 was compromised by those injuries there at the end of the season. But 2019 and 2021 for Jimmy Garoppolo were both good seasons efficiency-wise. They were both efficiency-wise top 10 seasons. There was a stretch of 2021, a 5-game stretch where he was again number one in the league. So we talk about how does Garoppolo mix with Kyle Shanahan? How does he mix with the yak-based approach that the 49ers have obviously tried to instill in this offense? And the question has been, when Garoppolo has been healthy, it has been really, really good. It's been really efficient. And he's always been able to throw the ball downfield. I could give you a stat here. In 2019, for example, Garoppolo led the league in completion percentage on passes of 20 or more yards, air yards throughout the air. He was 20 of 35. The limitation came more from the playbook. Shanahan didn't call a lot of those deeper passes, especially in 2019. And I don't think that was the worst thing in the world. The 49ers didn't have a great pass protecting offensive line. And the 49ers were built at the receiving and tight end positions to run after the catch. Also, Garoppolo, as you've seen, has got a great release, a quick release. And if he's accurate on short passes, you would like to set up the yards after the catch, and you don't have to air it out every single down. The 49ers find this approach to be more sustainable offensively. So everybody was focusing on the wrong thing when they were criticizing Jimmy Garoppolo, because we've seen the passes outside the numbers from when he came in against the Seahawks this year to the ones that I just put on tape. He can make those throws. The issue for Jimmy Garoppolo has always been interception rate. INT rate has been the issue for Jimmy Garoppolo, and I'll pop open my Twitter thread on the screen. Take a look here. This is Jimmy Garoppolo's interception rates by year. The NFL average is about 2.3%. 2017, even when he was top of the league efficiency, Garoppolo had a pretty higher than average interception rate, 2.8%. 2018, this is before the injury, before the ACL. He didn't start that year off well at all. Really high INT rate, 3.4%. 2019, first full season that we've seen from Jimmy Garoppolo. He brought the interception rate down from 17 and 18, but still above league average, 2.7%. 2020, hurt, high ankle sprain twice in that season. Smaller sample, 3.6%. Back to a larger sample in 2021. Interception rate for Jimmy Garoppolo, 2.7%. All of those INT rates for Jimmy Garoppolo were above the league average of 2.3%. So you can see, and I'm going to get to 2022 in a second, but you could see the weakness here. Jimmy, I mean, calling him a game manager is asinine because the guy takes so many chances. A game manager just checks the ball down, doesn't do anything else. Garoppolo is constantly trying to feed the ball into small windows over the middle that are created by the 49ers stretch zone outside running game, right? Run can set up the pass just like pass can set up the run. The 49ers try to crisscross the middle of the field to set up yards after the catch. Garoppolo knows he has a strong, quick release. He knows his receivers can rumble with the ball after they catch it. The sideline's a potential defender. The 49ers tried to stay away from the sideline. And he goes over the middle, and because he's trying to fit the ball into those tight windows, because I think he's had a weakness of seeing robber safeties, of linebackers dropping in coverage, the interception rate was what it is right here, too high for Jimmy Garoppolo in 2017 to 2021. Now, that didn't stop him from being efficient. The interception rate is counted in these efficiency stats. And we see Jimmy Garoppolo at the top of this list right here. That factors in the interceptions. That means he's overcoming the interceptions to be efficient. So just imagine how good he could be if he lowered the interception rate from these seasons. Well, looky here, 2022, through a small sample size. Nobody's going to pretend that this is a large sample size, but Jimmy Garoppolo is down to a 0.9% interception rate. Again, 2.8, 3.4, 2.7, 3.6, 2.7% entering this year. So far, through 3 games, Garoppolo has only thrown 1 pick, and the interception rate is down to 0.9%, which would be well above or below NFL average, better than NFL average. And that, to me, is the biggest piece of optimism, if you want optimism surrounding Jimmy Garoppolo, is that he's taken care of the football here the past 2 weeks. There was one throw against the Carolina Panthers that might have been intercepted, where that was like Jimmy trying to force something over the middle of the field. In general, he has avoided those types of throws. He obviously did it against the Denver Broncos when the 49ers were trying to come back, and he forced that pass to Deebo Samuel that was intercepted at the end of the game. So that was an example of what the 49ers can't have from Jimmy Garoppolo. But again, that was the bad game. And then, since then, we've seen 2 great games. In fact, if you look at efficiency charts, just if you look at the Denver week 3, Garoppolo ranked number 31 of 32 quarterbacks in EPA per play. Over weeks 4 and 5 against LA and Carolina, Garoppolo is ranked number 1 in efficiency, and that's coincided with avoiding the turnovers. Now, what's interesting to me is that Jimmy Garoppolo's accuracy is not quite where it's been in the past just yet. So why don't we take a look at this? This is quarterback efficiency 2022. Now, when you look at these graphs, the x-axis is accuracy, so you want to be further to the right, and the y-axis up and down is efficiency, so you want to be further to the top. So top right is best. And you don't see a lot of quarterbacks in the top left because that means that they haven't been, particularly accurate, at least according to the stat, which is completion percentage over expectation. Normally, accuracy correlates with efficiency. So that's why you have this diagonal line moving through the graph, and you have the quarterbacks generally follow the diagonal line, at least on a correlation basis. But Garoppolo's this outlier this year. Look at him here over the top left. And he's an outlier because if you look at completion percentage over expectation, he ranks way down at number 29. His completion percentage isn't as good as you would expect it to be with the type of throws, the distance of throws that he's making. And even the more advanced completion percentage stats, think this. And this is a big change from previous years. Take this. Garoppolo from 2017 to 2021 was plus 2.1% completion percentage above expectation. That ranked number 11 of quarterbacks who qualified in the league. This season, he's number 22 He has dropped down to number 29. He's dropped down to negative 6.1% from number 11 to number 29. And it reflects on this graph that we have right here. Because if you remember in previous years, such as, let's go to this one, let's go to 2017, Garoppolo's up on the upper right. The accuracy is good. The efficiency is good. Top of the league. This year so far, what's fascinating to me is that Jimmy Garoppolo is on the left. The accuracy hasn't been that good. He's missed some of these short passes, but the efficiency is still good. So what gives? What's going on here? Why this disconnect? Well, I think the easy answer is that Jimmy Garoppolo had shoulder surgery in the offseason, didn't have an offseason program, didn't, participate with the 49ers in training camp. You want cohesion, right? You want cohesiveness in this complicated, complex, organized chaos sport that is football. And Garoppolo is developing it on a week-by-week basis. And in fact, I would say that he's gotten more accurate throughout all of his starts. His least accurate start was Denver. He got a little bit better, but he was still missing some throws against the Rams. Got even better against the Carolina Panthers. If this trend continues, this is why I put that the potential here is promising, because we're seeing Garoppolo near the top of the league efficiency marks already, and really awesome on third down against the Carolina Panthers, despite the fact that it looks like he hasn't fully knocked off the rust yet. More reps, more time, and the 49ers can really be cooking with gas as we move forward. And why is that? Well, because this is the killer stat for Jimmy Garoppolo. He is number 2 in third down efficiency since 2017, behind only Patrick Mahomes. And I believe that I have that. I do. It's right here. This is Jimmy Garoppolo since 2017. Third down EPA per play. Now, this is not even including the great game that he played against the Carolina Panthers. But they say that third down is the money down. That's where quarterbacks have no, reliance on the run game. That's out the window. You're going to be throwing on most of these third downs. You have to be able to deliver with the threat of your arm and with the actual use of your arm on third down. So when third down comes into play, the money is on the table. The quarterbacks who know how to hang in there against the rush can step right up and deliver downfield. Third down efficiency since 2017. Patrick Mahomes, look at this, EPA per play, 0.492, way ahead of the rest of the league. There's a massive gap, the size of the Red Sea between Mahomes and Jimmy Garoppolo, between 1 and 2. But then it's everybody else, and amongst everybody else, Garoppolo ranks second. You got Herbert in there. Luck was really good. Burrow, obviously good. Lamar Jackson, Rodgers, Breeze, Winston, and Brady. I mean, these are good performing quarterbacks. And Jimmy Garoppolo ranks behind only Mahomes. So here's the thing. Garoppolo's already shown this third down efficiency through plays like this in this 2022 season. He's shown in flashes, and I would say more than flashes at this point, that he can be extremely accurate on the money down, even with guys in his face with some sketchy pass protection. These are all third downs that are playing on the screen. He has also shown that he can take away the interceptions. He's at a 0.9% interception rate. It's still a small sample size, but here's the key. If Jimmy Garoppolo's accuracy continues to improve, if he fixes some of those throws that he's been missing downfield, if he hits some of those open guys that he's been missing, combine that with the INT rate that's already gone down, and combine that with some of the awesome film that we saw on third down of Jimmy Garoppolo going 7 of 12 and the 49ers offense against the Panthers on third down, look out. Combine that rust, combine the accuracy right here. Move Jimmy Garoppolo on this graph from the left side over here to the right side. That efficiency is only going to go up with more accuracy, and he could be over in the upper right, just like he was in the 2017 season right here, upper right. That's where the 49ers want Jimmy Garoppolo. Right now, he's in the upper left. That's great because he's efficient, but there is still something left on the table that he can gain. And I think that with less rust, more time, he can get there. And we'll see if Jimmy Garoppolo can do that moving forward this week for the 49ers against Atlanta, because then Mahomes himself and the Chiefs come calling. So that's the thing right here. Is this the best Jimmy Garoppolo the 49ers have seen? And I would say not yet. He's not as accurate as he's been in the past. but he's also coming off shoulder surgery. He's also just getting into the flow of things. The Denver game was his preseason, right? Even the LA game might have been his preseason. So if Jimmy Garoppolo can get more accurate with that surgically repaired shoulder, and I think things are definitely trending in the right direction. I mean, he only has 60-something career games under his belt. It looks like he's getting smarter as far as avoiding interceptions. Improve the accuracy, keep the interception rate low, and then keep on doing stuff like this, because this is God-given ability right here. This is arm strength. This is release quickness. This is moxie. That's all of what you want in a quarterback package together, hanging in there against the rush. Combine all of that with what Shanahan is scheming up, and you've got yourself one hell of a quarterback. And that's why 49ers fans should say that these are promising results early in the 2022 season. All right, we're at 200 viewers right now, 20 minutes in. Maybe I take a look at the comment section. It usually gets a little ugly, a little shifty when shifty's not a bad good word. Gets a little dicey when we talk Jimmy Garoppolo, but I could take a look and see what you guys all want to talk about. Yeah, the Broncos game absolutely was his preseason. And if you're there's people saying, oh, what was his preseason? He says it was like riding a bike after the Seahawks game. Yeah, riding a bike, that's like an expression saying, yeah, I was able to hop right back on the bike and ride it. Does that mean you're going to be able to ride the bike at full speed? Does that mean that you won't be sore after you ride the bike if it's been a year or two? Those of you who haven't played sports in your life, just tell on yourselves sometimes in the comment section here. The second time back at the gym is a whole lot more painful than the first time back at the gym. Same thing here. If he hasn't been throwing all off season up until the very end, if he hasn't been practicing with the 49ers, guys, this is not Madden. I'm sorry. This is not your video game down the basement. This is actual NFL football. So this is something that takes practice with teammates, cohesion with teammates. It's indisputable that Jimmy Garoppolo was rusty against the Broncos. I mean, you can feel a certain way about Jimmy Garoppolo and try to ignore facts, but facts mean a lot more than feelings. And he was rusty against Denver. That was all that happened there. On Jimmy's first play, he got blasted. He's getting blasted a lot. Here's another thing. Everybody wants to talk about, wanted to talk about how good Matthew Stafford was last year. The Los Angeles Rams had the #1 pass block win rate in the league. Look at Matthew Stafford this year after he lost his left tackle, and he's had 5 different offensive line combinations in 5 games. Matthew Stafford's at or near the bottom of league efficiency rankings this year. And that's a luxury of discourse that Jimmy Garoppolo never got when the 49ers were ranking number 26 consistently in pass block win rate. So Garoppolo is able to do stuff like this. Garoppolo is able to deliver while he's getting blasted consistently. And it's something that Matthew Stafford, quite frankly, hasn't done this season. I hate to rope Stafford into it, but people need to be more fair to Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the bottom line. We need to objectively analyze what Jimmy Garoppolo has done and is doing for the 49ers. And maybe we can actually listen to what Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch say at face value. Because if we actually listen to them, they talk about injuries being the primary concern with Jimmy Garoppolo, not this hogwash about him not being able to throw outside the numbers, not, all this other stuff. If we actually objectively look at what Garoppolo's brought to the table, the 2 weaknesses are interception rate on those throws over the middle, and of course the lack of mobility because he's a pocket passing quarterback, which are 2 reasons, obviously, that the 49ers did want to get Trey Lance, especially the mobility part, because they wanted to build for the future. But you can't discount injuries. You can't discount the salary cap out of this entire equation. So it's a much, much larger picture thing than a lot of people make it out to be. They oversimplify things, and then their analysis of Jimmy Garoppolo simply isn't objective or isn't correct. So that's what we're trying to do in this situation. All right, let's you guys have some more questions that look like not about Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe I switch to those, but if you have some more Jimmy questions, why don't you talk about that? Again, if people are talking about misses, just lose me with that. I mean, every quarterback is missing. We will objectively analyze which quarterbacks are missing more than others. And Jimmy, I just objectively analyzed that his completion percentage is under expectation this year. He's negative 6.1%. So his accuracy needs to improve. I literally have said that. But even with the accuracy being low, Garoppolo's efficiency is high. If you can't understand that that's extremely promising for the 49ers, I don't know what to tell you. You're just going to be hating on every player, every QB that comes through. It's the same people that do that didn't give Trey Lance a fair chance. If you want to give QBs a fair chance, though, you have to look at it through the lens of they're not going to be perfect like it's rookie mode on Madden. There will be misses. It's a matter of quantifying those misses. It's a matter of how many. And yeah, this is fair. Let's see how he does against the Chiefs. Let's see how he does in a larger sample. Well, in a larger sample, he's been good. Every time Jimmy Garoppolo's been healthy, he has added to a resume since 2017. And that resume since 2017 is good. All right, Mike wants to change the subject. How will the 49ers D look with 6 missing starters? No Kinlaw, no Armstead, no Bosa, no Aziz, no Jimmy Ward, no Emmanuel Mosley. Likely no Jimmy Ward. We'll see. We'll get an update from Kyle Shanahan tomorrow. We'll see. They looked okay. I thought they looked good, better than okay against the Carolina Panthers, despite some of those injuries. This is a defense with a lot of depth. They've insulated themselves to an extent. Every team reaches a breaking point like the 49ers did back in 2020. But they're going to keep on plowing forward. The train ain't stopping. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo said. So we'll see how they perform. Frank, fusion between Jimmy and Kyle. The 49ers will win it all this year. Jimmy has an edge. Kyle challenged. Real tension. That's another thing. I was going to talk about that, and I didn't. Is Shanahan using more of the boundary to help Garoppolo? Or is it helping Garoppolo? Because they have used more of the boundary. You see here, this was a schemed play to Tevin Coleman, right? Let's make this bigger. This is cover 0. 3rd down, Coleman as a wideout, working against Miles Hartsfield, who's the cornerback, and Jimmy Garoppolo and Tevin Coleman talked about going on this route all week. Jimmy wanted to go deep. He wanted to go outside the numbers. They're using more of the field than they normally do. This play right here, Jimmy Garoppolo going to Brandon Ayuk, same idea. Cover 0, outside the numbers. They're using more of the field. So Shanahan is using more of the boundary. Is it helping Jimmy Garoppolo? I say resoundingly, yes, it is. Did Jimmy Garoppolo want more freedom to use the boundary? Yes, he did. He said that after week 2 when he came in against the Seattle Seahawks. So I think there has been some creative tension between Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan, and I think it is helping the 49ers. Listen, the quarterback cannot be evaluated without the play caller, and the play caller cannot be evaluated without the quarterback. It is a symbiotic relationship. You need both sides to do well. Montana, Walsh, Young, Shanahan, Garoppolo, and Kyle Shanahan. You have to have both. And when something goes wrong, I think you need to look at both. When something goes right, you need to look at both. And I do think there's a healthy back and forth between Garoppolo and Shanahan now that might not have existed before all this drama. If you can take tension and you can make it something good, something that helps you generate positivity, all of a sudden you've got, something potentially productive. And I think that Frank had a good point, and that led me to the one point that I didn't make out of the titles that I had pre-prepared. Can we talk about the new signings today? Sure, let's do it. Let's go to my Twitter. Let me make sure I don't leave anything behind. So the new signings today, 49ers signed kicker Sam Sloman to the practice squad. So Sloman is there just in case Robbie Gould with his knee contusion can't go on Sunday. They can elevate Sloman up to 3 times. Sloman is 5'8", 205 pounds. He's built like a bowling ball, got some strength, has some experience too. Has kicked for the Rams and the Titans and has made 10 of 13 field goals and 23 of 26 extra points on his NFL career. The 49ers also today released Marlon Mack. That means that I think that Tevin Coleman at some point soon is going to be on the 53-man roster because Mack was on the 53. Coleman is still in the practice squad. Coleman definitely has deserved to be paid more than Mack, even though Mack made something like $70,000 for this past game and Coleman only something like $20,000 for this past game. So that helps relieve that inefficiency. And then the signing that everybody's excited about, I got a dedicated video for this. You can check it out. T.Y. McGill, defensive tackle, had 3.5 sacks for Minnesota in the preseason. T.Y. McGill is, he's got potential. He's 29 years old. He's been around the league, but you saw the explosive preseason. The reason he didn't make the Vikings 53 is because he sprained his ankle late in preseason. He is now healthy, presumably. So the 49ers worked him out, brought him in. They saw him incur damage against their own offensive line in that week 2 game. So we'll see if T.Y. McGill fits this 49ers defensive line without Armstead, without Kinlaw. This is the kind of depth piece that you need. And somebody said, well, his T.Y. McGill's track record was bad before this preseason. I'm like, I don't really care if his track record was bad before this preseason because Chris Kasarik and that 49ers defensive line has earned the benefit of the doubt with depth pieces that they've developed into good players. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt. They've been really good, right? Kasarik has made magic out of the clay that he's been given, and T.Y. McGill is the next potential possibility. So McGill, Sam Sloman's the practice squad, and to make room for McGill, the 49ers released Marlon Mack. Jason Mobbs thinks that Kasarik will have him rolling. I mean, go back and watch the tape. McGill was really good 49ers Vikings in the preseason. 3.5 sacks is a lot in the preseason. So, again, they're not bringing him in to be the starting DT. They're bringing him to be part of the rotation because they have some injury issues. Yeah, the Falcons do have good fronts on both sides of the football. Obviously, Grady Jarrett on that defensive line is someone that the 49ers will have to block. I mean, this is not a bad Atlanta team. I think they're much better than last year when the 49ers routed them. That's going to be the conversation that we move to here moving forward is how do the 49ers match up with Atlanta, especially in the road game with that Chiefs game looming right after it. It's going to be important that the 49ers show up in this game. All right. Do I think Jimmy looks tougher this year than taking hits in previous years? I think he's always taken hits. I think he's always been tough. That's been one of Jimmy Garoppolo's main attributes. He sits in there and he delivers. Sometimes he sits in there too long before forcing a pass, right? He's got to throw it away. The one thing Jimmy doesn't do is throw it away. Probably could use a little bit more of that to lower the interception rate. But standing and delivering in the teeth of a pass rush, I still remember the Kittle touchdown against the Rams, that COVID year, 2020. He took a hit. He's taken a lot of hits over his time with the 49ers. One of the reasons why he's been hurt more than they would have liked over this time. Somebody asked if Trey is injury prone. I don't know what injury prone actually means. I think there's so much random luck in football to injuries, especially if you're sitting back there taking hits. So, yes, Trey Lance has gotten injured a lot. He's going to have to prove that he is dependable. But injury prone is a tough thing to answer. I mean, Jimmy Ward is a good example. Got hurt a lot earlier in his career, then played like a 3-year stretch where he barely got hurt. So all of a sudden he's not injury prone, right? And then he gets hurt on the very first play after the hamstring injury, breaks his hand. I think that's more bad luck than anything else. So you got to be lucky in this league. But there is something to be said about building dependability. And I think it's a little bit of both. Possible game where Jimmy Garoppolo is 300 or so, more than 300 yards is a question down here. I mean, it could happen any week. It just depends on the game plan. Last week, they passed to set up the run, and then they started running more in the second half. But they passed something like 18 times in the first half, only ran 11 times. You got to hit a couple of big ones downfield. If he hits Danny Gray or Brandon Ayuk catches that one, he's a lot closer to 300 yards this past week. So that's more of a crapshoot. That's a little bit tough. The Niners, they do seem like the best team in the NFC West right now. In fact, they're the only team with a positive point differential. And, we can go to our team tiers. I think I have this from on my Twitter. Why don't we open up the team tiers? Here we go. NFL team tiers. Pop this sucker open and add it to the stream. All right, so the question is, are the Niners, or do I think the Niners will win the NFC West? Well, let's see where everybody else in the NFC West is right now. First off, the 49ers, you want to be over to the right and as high as possible. 49ers are doing a good job there. Look how bad the Rams are. Terrible offense, average defense. They're a bottom-tier team, essentially, on this illustration. So the 49ers' last two opponents have been bottom-tier teams with average defenses, though. So it's been notable that the offense and Jimmy Garoppolo have looked decent against those two teams. Who else are we looking for? The Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals are right here. They are average offensively, below average defensively. So the Cardinals right now are 1, 2, 3 tiers below the 49ers. And the Seattle Seahawks are going to be at the right, but on the bottom right because their defense is atrocious. So the Seahawks are maybe a tier ahead of the Cardinals. The Seahawks are still 1, 2, 3 tiers below the 49ers because the defense isn't a threat. So I see a lot of flawed teams in this division, and I see the 49ers as clearly the best team right now in this division. So the 49ers, a tier 3 team, maybe moving to tier 2 if they can continue improving offensively because they made 2-tier jumps, a 2-tier jump this past week moving right here with the offense. My answer to the question is yes, I believe the 49ers will win the NFC West just because it seems that they are the best team. How can the 49ers be a championship team with that offensive line? Well, what offensive line? Let's think. They're playing a third string left tackle right now. They're not going to be a championship team if Trent Williams doesn't come back. But if Trent Williams plays against the Rams and against the Panthers, especially against the Panthers, I saw Brian Burns working on Jalen Moore there. Brian Burns is not getting what he got against the 49ers if Trent's in there. Then you have Spencer Burford at the right guard position. That's obviously a question mark for this 49ers team. If he continues to get better, if Brunskill and him run a timeshare, he's not going to be the same lineman that he was weeks 1 to 5 as he is week 17 to the playoffs, right? You're better at right guard. Jake Brendel's been really good in pass protection at the center position. Aaron Banks, I think, has been surprisingly good to a lot of folks at left guard. And then you have Mike McGlinchey at right tackle. If McGlinchey, to me, has played decently well so far, but the law firm in the middle, Burford, Brendel, Banks. I think Brendel's played well. Banks and Burford, if those two guys continue to grow and you pair them with Trent Williams, that line, that ceiling of that offensive line has definitely raised moving forward, and that's something that the 49ers needed entering this season. All right, guys. 15-2, calling the 49ers record. While you're here, why don't you check out this article and subscribe to The Athletic? Put it up on the screen. This is from after the game. Add it right there. I'm going to go and put this into the chat section. And also check out the breakdown that I did from the Carolina game position by position. That's right here. Both of these are going to be in the chat section. So you can go ahead and check those out. Hopefully you enjoyed this content on Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We will talk to y'all soon. It's time for me to get dinner here in Nashville. It's already 7:04. So this was a little dinner time with Lombardi. And enjoy your dinners in a couple hours back on the West Coast or wherever you may be. You might be in Europe. You might be ahead of me. So it's all good. All right, everybody, take care. Sub to The Athletic. Like the video, sub to the channel. Check me out on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else as well. Everybody take care. Oh, and one more time. We played some film today. Why don't we play this to get us going? Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, he was tough as hell. He's flattened, and somehow, how did he get that ball off? I'm not sure. How did he get this football off? Well, this is the reason for a lot of optimism. Jimmy Garoppolo's out there balling. He's making plays for the 49ers. We can play all of them before we leave. This is to Ayuk. Obviously, this one wasn't caught, but the 49ers will take it anytime. That's a great release against another free rusher, and then another first down here. Threads the needle to George Kittle in between J.C. Horns and Justin Burris. All right, hope you enjoyed the show. Everybody take care.